So I'm sure many of you, like myself, have played an awful lot of Minecraft, and perhaps while playing you've had this thought, damn it, I wish I could do that, or I sure wish they had this. And lately I've been having a lot more of those thoughts, mainly because I've gotten back into the game. So today I'm gonna lay on you an assorted list of little changes, little additions, little things that I'd like to see added to Minecraft. So let's go. Inventory scrolling, specifically the system used in the Better Than Adventure Minecraft mod. Now this is real easy. You just hit tab and it scrolls to the next row of your inventory. You don't even need to press E. You don't have to worry about rearranging stuff in and out of your hotbar. You just hit tab and you're good to go, and you can just keep spamming tab until you scroll back to what you want. It's very fluid and very convenient, and it's something that I would love to be in vanilla. Another addition that I'd like is more unique textures for things made out of wood. So for example, you make a crafting table, no matter what wood type you use, it's gonna look the exact same. You could build it with another wood, it's still gonna be an oak plank crafting table. So here's what I'm proposing. Different textures for each of the wood for the crafting tables. You know, this isn't too complicated. Use a red wood, the crafting table should be red, so on and so forth. You can take it a step further and go ahead and dye the crafting tables. I don't know if that's pushing it a little bit, but I think unique textures for each of the crafting, they don't even have to be unique textures, they can just be recolors. Unique textures, that would be like the cherry on top. And one more example of something like this would be unique boats for each of the different types of nether wood. Now this is kind of a random ask, but I had an experience with this recently. I had to make a boat, but the only wood I had in my inventory was nether wood for whatever reason. But you know, when I build a boat, I would like to see a red boat if I'm using red wood, a blue-green boat if I'm using blue-green wood. There's a bamboo boat, but there's no nether tree boat. And I don't know if it'd take them super long to implement. I mean, you just recolor it red or you recolor it blue-green. Now, these next few suggestions are kind of not necessarily interwoven, but they're related enough. So first of all, I want a use for rotten flesh. Rotten flesh, it's one of those things, it does have a use. It's a cheap, easy to gain food when you can't find food and you still have to survive the night. So you live off of rotten flesh, and that's cool and all, but eventually you find yourself accumulating a lot of rotten flesh if you do any amount of monster hunting. And you know, it's kind of a waste to just throw it out of your inventory, throw it in the corner, walk away from it. So here's what I'm thinking, let's make it actually useful. And it's pretty easy to implement this. It would just be a rotten flesh into leather crafting recipe. I wouldn't say one leather, or I wouldn't even say 3 rotten flesh for 1 leather. I think it should be 9 to keep it sort of balanced. Like, you have to get a lot of rotten flesh to make a piece of leather, but you could still get a piece of leather from rotten flesh. I know there's mods that already do this and all that, but adding it to vanilla would be the ideal outcome here. And speaking of leather, my next suggestion is craftable saddles. I think it's honestly still kind of ridiculous that you can't craft saddles. You have to go fishing, grinding, or dungeon hunting to get saddles of all things, and name tags too, but we're focusing on saddles here right now. I just think it's kind of crazy that you still have to do all of that to get saddles. So simple recipe, leather into saddle. I feel like this makes sense, and it makes it a lot easier to just have a lot of pets. Or let's say you're breeding a bunch of horses, or you want a donkey and a horse and a mule and a camel and a pig, and hell, a strider. Why not? We're kind of transitioning out of basic recipe things and moving on to some more substantial changes and additions. We're going to start off small, scale up a little bit. I just got a notification. Another quick suggestion, Totem of Undying. I think it should be made Woodland Mansion exclusive again, because as it is right now, if you can get Totems of Undying from raids, what is the point of going to Woodland Mansion? Like, actually, cool resources there, but it's all stuff you can find everywhere else now. So my next suggestion is the fletching table should have some sort of interactability with arrows. This isn't a crazy idea. There's mods out there. There's tons of mock-ups. What's the right way to go about it? I'm honestly not too sure, because you can already make tipped arrows. Not the easiest process in the world, but it can be done. So this could either be an easier way to assemble tipped arrows, or perhaps you could just expand on arrows as a whole. How being able to craft arrows out of, like, instead of using sticks, you could use blaze rods or breeze rods, each with their own set of effects. So yeah, fletching table should do arrow things. Here's another one I've been thinking of a lot, making copper actually useful. Now, there's been plenty of other videos that have brought this up, because let's be real, copper is everywhere and its uses are limited at best. It honestly just feels like they needed another ore to put there, and copper is what they came up with. And you know what? I don't mind having another ore. It's cool. You get your copper, you make your brush, and you make your spyglass, and you make your lightning rods, but afterwards there's not all that much to do other than make some decorative blocks. And they're decorative blocks that you can get plenty of from going to trial chambers. Now, unfortunately, I haven't thought of a balanced or even interesting way of implementing an actual use for copper. I feel like making a copper tool set would be kind of the easy way out. I feel like it'd almost be bloat, adding a whole nother set of tools and armor just so you can have something in the middle of stone and iron for the 5 minutes that it takes you to transition from stone to iron in the first place. But I really would like for them to come up with something interesting to do with copper. It'd be easy to just sit here and complain, but I'd love for there to be a use for it. I want to use all the copper that you end up accumulating. My chests always end up being like, I have double the amount of copper than iron, but I have way less to do with the copper. So yeah, if any of you have any suggestions for what to do with copper, I would love to read them in the comments below, because I'm kind of at a loss. I just want there to be something to do with it in the first place. My next suggestion is a lava boat. So the idea for this, nothing too complicated. It's a boat that can travel across lava. So here's the thing. I know striders are already in the game to traverse across lava, but I don't know who's actually using striders to get across the nether. You either run across the nether, you bridge across, or you elytra across. But I feel like it would be a lot of fun to just swerve around in a boat in lava. Being able to boat across lava, especially fast, would be pretty busted. So I'm thinking the recipe should be expensive. I'm thinking netherite, and here's your recipe. So one more catch, I don't think you should be able to use it in the overworld. Like, it should just sink as soon as you place it down to the bottom of whatever body of water you placed it in. My next suggestion is caves in the nether. So I think it's really wonderful, the overhaul that the nether got in 1.16. Those are some of my best memories with the game, just kind of grinding it hardcore after 1.16 came out. But with it came the aforementioned netherite, and this was honestly the inspiration for this feature. So honestly, to me, bed bombing your way through the nether, you know, digging down, placing beds, and just praying that something shows up after you blow up 20 beds in a row. You could carpet bomb the whole nether to try to find some ancient debris to make netherite. But honestly, to me, the process just isn't interesting, it isn't fun, and it's just kind of boring. So what I'm proposing is sprinkle in some nether caves. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. You don't have to add a bunch of new stuff. They could just repurpose already existing nether assets, but just make naturally generating caves in the nether so you can actually do some mining in your mining game. If you wander through caves and they have a slightly higher chance of spawning ancient debris or something, there's a sense of exploration. At least, like, I'm going through this cave to try to find something, to try to discover something. You could easily spiral off. You could have new structures in the nether caves. You don't even have to do anything that complicated. I'm just saying it's an option. My next suggestion is more armor variation. So with a lot of the armor sets in Minecraft, you have your leather, your nice starter, you have iron, you know, kind of the in-between. You'll have iron for a little bit before you get diamond, and then you upgrade it to netherite. You have gold, which the only reason why you're going to be wearing gold armor is so piglins don't kill you when you go in the nether. Or you might have found some enchanted gold armor by a ruined portal early game, and better to wear that than to wear nothing. And with chainmail looks pretty cool. It's probably the most unique set of armor in the game other than netherite, which you have to go through a whole process in order to get. But honestly, you'd probably end up getting a full set of diamond before you end up getting that full set of chainmail. It's more of an armor set for the aesthetic. So I figure there is a sort of natural solution to this sort of problem, and that's making armor sets spec into different uses, not just each armor set compounds and is stronger than the last one. Each one should have their own sort of benefit to it. This isn't some super complicated stuff. Honestly, the first comparison I could draw is to Terraria. You equip a full armor set and it gives you a certain buff. This has been implemented in mods before. A recent example I can think of is Better Than Adventure, just because that's the last real mod that I played, where there's very few armor sets, but each of them spec into a different area. For example, leather reduces fall damage, while iron armor is equal distribution on all the stats. Gold also distributes stats equally, better than iron, but with lower durability. Chainmail reduces damage, diamond armor provides significant damage reduction against fire and heat, and steel armor gives the wearer a bunch of blast protection. Now, in Better Than Adventure, steel armor is the endgame armor. Think netherite, but not quite as tedious to gather, but that's besides the point here. Point is, they don't need to have these exact same buffs, but even implementing a light version of this idea, I think would be interesting. For example, let's say they add a full set of turtle scoot armor other than just the turtle shell helmet. So it could have protection like iron, but it has a massive water breathing buff, enough so that it would be the ideal set of armor to take if you were to take on, let's say, an ocean monument. And with this full buff, it would honestly make the time investment you need breeding the turtles, waiting for the eggs to hatch, collecting the turtle scoops, this whole process of turtle breeding, it would make the whole process worth it because you'd get a worthwhile, interesting set of armor out of it to tackle on a unique challenge. And I mean, this is the sort of idea you could expand on forever. Like, you could have one that reduces your walking noise so the warden doesn't hear you. And I understand a lot of this ground is covered by enchantments, but I just feel like adding a couple more forks in the road, you know, not necessarily having to follow the beaten path. And now, to top off our little list of additions, let's add some mobs. So I'm not trying to go crazy and propose a bunch of my own mob ideas. I'm just thinking of fun, simple, little additions to the game. And I think the easiest way to do this without proposing new mobs is more mob variants. Now, not quite a warm, cold, and temperate type of variant, but more like there's already some related mob to this in the game. And this would sort of be a variant of that said mob. Think like a stray to a skeleton or a bogged to a skeleton. So first of all, we have regular bears. We have polar bears, we have panda bears. I think it's time to round it out with a regular bear. Now, I imagine this regular bear would look a lot closer to the polar bear than panda bear, but at the same time, with the addition of this new bear, it could be a brown bear, a grizzly bear. Or just imagine some sort of brown bear. I'm not going for specific species where you'd have to label it. I'm thinking the name of this bear should just be bear. Normal bear. Google a bear, and this is the bear that would show up, kind of bear. And with this addition of another bear type, I think it's time for all the bears in the game to do a little more of something. Now, I don't know if the bears should drop fur because something about that seems wrong. I know they don't like promoting the hunting or killing of endangered species or even most animals in general, other than the older animal types in the game. So I don't know if it should be something like bear fur, but I feel like bears should have some sort of use. Another idea I like is more spider variants. There's a whole lot of biomes in the game, but there's only spiders and cave spiders. Are cave spiders even a real thing? I'm sure they are, but I think of biomes in the game that need spiders, and I would say the jungle and Badlands. Now, both places in real life have a lot of freaky spiders. I'm not saying they need to be freaky in the game. I'm just saying you put a little recolor of the spider there, perhaps change the texture up a bit, make them a little more appealing, a little more spider-like, in a cute way, of course, and perhaps when they bite you, you get different negative debuffs. So first of all, let's just add the Moobloom. Okay, it is kind of ridiculous the amount of controversy that surrounded this mob to begin with. And honestly, I don't see any other reason why they haven't dropped it yet, other than they're keeping it loaded in the chamber for an apology for a massive PR scandal or something like that. But for the rest of the mob vote mobs, honestly, I don't feel too strongly about any of them. But yeah, I'm just looking through the list now. In terms of others from the mob vote that could be implemented, I'm looking at the crab. I think the crab is a solid pick. I don't know about the crab claw for extended reach. I feel like there could be a more interesting use of crab things. Honestly, the crab would be cool. I don't know about mangrove swamp spawns though. Like, why wouldn't you just put the crabs on the beach? Or you could have it in the beach and mangrove and you have different color variants. I'm gonna throw some graphic up on screen. Look at the variants. So yeah, honestly, in terms of the rest of the mob vote mobs, I'm kind of indifferent on adding them. I feel like there's probably more interesting things, but you know, I'm cool with Mooblooms. I feel like Mooblooms should not just be the yellow one. Like, you should have one for like every flower variant, even though that is kind of demanding. I understand, but I feel like it would be an easy way to actually make them interesting. Or hell, you have some like exclusive flowers with Mooblooms, even though isn't that the sniffer's whole deal, that it digs up rare flowers? So whatever, Moobloom, just come up with something interesting. You know, if you have any interesting Moobloom ideas, let me know. I'm just suggesting ideas off the top of my head. So yeah, nothing all that complicated, but these are some of my suggestions for new features that I think they should be added. That is just about it. So let me know what you thought of my additions. Were they good? Were they bad? Let me know. And of course, let me know what you would like to see added to the game. This is the biggest game in the world, so I'm sure a lot of you have a whole lot of ideas for what should be added. And in that case, peace and take care.